Hey, how you guys doing? Stein here, and I just wanted to share with you guys a paper I actually wrote a couple years ago in college. It was actually in May of 2023. I wrote this paper. We're looking at the national championship game coming up tonight. Obviously, Michigan and UConn's playing. I'm hoping for Michigan to win. So with the national championship game coming up tonight, I wanted to look into NIL and the effects that it has on college sports. Just at least we obviously know all the negative effects that it's had and all the just horrible stuff that obviously there's positives. Like I support the players getting paid and everything, but there's no one overseeing anything, and college sports is a complete mess because of it. Obviously, like the games have been great. Michigan has benefited because of it, but there has been a lot of problems that has come with NIL. And I wrote this paper about 3 years ago now, and a lot of it actually came true. The problems that I said were going to occur with NIL. So before the national championship game, I just wanted to share it with you guys. Thought it was interesting. I came across it and just thought it was interesting and that I'd like to share it with you guys. So the title I had was just Regulating NIL, Ensuring Fairness in College Sports. So according to Yahoo News reporter Josh Schaefer, college athletes earned an estimated $917 million in the first year of name, image, and likeness payments. Before NIL, athletes would likely choose a college or university for the same reasons the majority of high schoolers would: small class sizes, program prestige, like example, qualified professors and course options, athletic performance, and location/campus environment. Some student athletes face homelessness, food insecurity, and the need to provide for themselves or their families, evidenced by their reliance on scholarship money when choosing where to attend school. Now, with the new NIL laws, student athletes who come from financially troubled homes are more likely to choose a school based on monetary factors as opposed to traditional factors. The implementation of name, image, and likeness (NIL) regulations in college sports is challenging the tradition of college athletics due to concerns over the impact on the transfer portal, unfair advantages for schools with big boosters, exploitative deals, and a shift towards prioritizing NIL potential over academic or athletic factors. While offering benefits to student athletes, these risks require careful consideration and regulation to protect to protect the tradition of college sports. For decades, the NCAA has upheld the principle of amateurism, which has traditionally meant that college athletes receive scholarships and other forms of compensation for their participation in sports, but not direct payment for their athletic performance or any benefits that are directly tied to their athletic abilities. However, in recent years, there has been growing criticism of this system, with many arguing that it is unfair to athletes who generate significant revenue for their schools and the NCAA. In 2019, the NCAA generated $18.9 billion, that's billion with a B, in revenue, according to Felix Richer, a data journalist for Statista, in a report titled U.S. College Sports Are a Billion-Dollar Game. In response to these concerns, several states passed their own laws allowing college athletes to profit from their NIL, putting pressure on the NCAA to take action. In 2021, the NCAA announced a new policy allowing college athletes to profit from their NIL, marking a significant shift in the college sports landscape. While the new NIL regulations represent an important step forward for college athletes' rights, they also have raised complex issues around the tradition and values of college sports. One major concern with NIL regulations is their potential impact on the transfer portal, which refers to the process by which student athletes can transfer from one college to another without penalty. As athletes become more focused on building their personal brands and securing NIL deals, they may be more likely to transfer to schools where they believe they will have better opportunities for exposure and endorsement deals. We see that all the time today. This has led to increased player movement and a destabilization of rosters that potentially undermines team cohesion and competitiveness. All the time. Roster turnover is up drastic. I don't have the exact numbers with me right now, but like roster turnover is up insane since NIL has occurred through all college sports. It's absolutely crazy the amount of players that are in the transfer portal. Athletes begin more focused on building their personal brands and securing NIL deals. They may be more likely to transfer to schools, or they believe they will have better opportunities for exposure and endorsement deals. This has led to increased player movement and destabilization of rosters that potentially undermines team cohesion and competitiveness. Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated states a record of more than 2,700 FBS players entered the transfer portal since August. That's roughly 20 per team. That's crazy. Dellinger provides one explanation of such transfers through discussing how the agent of a Miami basketball player threatened that his client, guard Isaiah Wong, would transfer if he were not paid more in NIL cash. So it's literally proof that it's like, hey, he's going to transfer if he's not paid more money. So it's literal proof right there how it's affecting college sports. Like, you cannot tell me that it does not affect college sports, like, traditionally at all, because that's literal proof right there. The agent literally said, my client's gonna transfer if you don't pay him more. That would not have happened back in the day. Well, maybe it would have happened under the table, but the guy would have had to sit out for a year. These increases in the transfer portal are associated with student athletes pursuing better NIL deals, which could destabilize college sports programs and further complement the transfer process. This could lead to a concentration of top talent at a handful of schools, further perpetuating the power imbalance in college sports. Schools with big boosters and strong alumni networks will have an unfair advantage in recruiting top talent, as they may be able to offer more lucrative NIL deals than other schools. As alluded to above, another issue with NIL regulations is the potential for schools with wealthy boosters to gain an unfair advantage in recruiting and competition. Kit Ramgopal, the author of the NBC News article, There's No Rules, It's Crazy, New Money in NCAA Recruiting Leaves Elite Athletes Ripe for Exploitation, reports boosters at the University of Miami, Texas, and Tennessee are investing millions in name, image, and likeness deals. The University of Miami believes that their school's success has positioned us well to help our current student athletes maximize name, image, and likeness opportunities during their time at the university. This could lead to a widening gap between the haves and have-nots of college sports, with schools that lack wealthy boosters struggling to compete. One way players receive money is through collectives, in which boosters and alumni pool millions of dollars together to entice high school prospects to their program. The NCAA has not put a cap on how much a student athlete can earn from NIL deals, meaning that boosters can offer unlimited amounts of money to entice athletes to come to their school. This has led to a bidding war between schools with big boosters. Sports Illustrated journalist Dellinger quotes Hugh Hathcock, a wealthy Florida businessman who started a collective at the University of Florida. The landscape is, if we, Florida fans, don't get the money, we're going to lose players. No matter how well a kid likes Florida, if a school comes in at the last minute and says, we're going to pay you $100,000 and we have $10,000, they're gone. These boosters are willing to pay top dollar to secure top athletes for their school, creating an uneven playing field and making it difficult for smaller schools to compete. This has led to concerns that small schools with few boosters and less money will not be able to compete with the larger schools for top athletes. Some student athletes have already earned significant income for NIL deals, with top earners scoring as much as high six-figure deals, according to Schaefer of Yahoo News. Now we know that it's way up there. It's up into like 8 figures probably, at least for some of these guys. It's at least 7 figures, but we know that some of these guys reach 8 figures. It's crazy for like the top guys. Like Bryce Underwood Michigan guy, was reported to have like, I think it was like $10 million or whatever for LSU, and then Michigan comes in and pays him a little bit more, which, I'm happy. It supports Michigan, but I'm trying to be unbiased here. I wrote the paper saying like, hey, this is a problem in college sports, and this is going to affect college sports. This is how it's going to affect it, and I'm just stating the facts here, not trying to, I'm a Michigan fan, so it benefits me, but. Some student athletes have already earned six-figure deals, according to Schaefer of Yahoo News. However, these deals are not distributed equally among all student athletes, as those who play for more high-profile teams or attend schools with larger booster networks are more likely to receive lucrative offers. This creates an uneven playing field in college sports, with some schools and teams having a distinct advantage over others in terms of attracting top talent and winning games. This could further entrench the power dynamics in college sports and make it even more difficult for smaller or less well-funded programs to compete. Furthermore, the emphasis on personal brand building and NIL potential could lead to a deprioritization of academic and athletic factors in the recruitment process, further eroding the traditional values of college athletics. Additionally, the emphasis on NIL potential could lead to a shift in priorities for college athletes and programs, with personal brand building taking precedence over academic and athletic success. In an article published on ESPN titled Why NIL Has Been Good for College Sports and the Hurdles That Remain, the author Jay Bilas reports, currently NCAA guidelines for NIL prohibit boosters or collectives from offering NIL opportunities or other compensation for athletes to enroll or remain at a particular school. But some say that is exactly what is happening. As a result, this trend has created intense competition among schools to attract top recruits with the promise of potential NIL earnings. Schools with deep-pocketed donors or businesses in their local community have an advantage over smaller or less well-funded institutions, as they can offer recruits more lucrative deals. Furthermore, this could exacerbate existing disparities in college sports, as student athletes from financially challenged backgrounds or with more marketing potential would be more likely to choose a college or university based on NIL opportunities. This could have serious implications for the integrity of college sports and for the academic and personal development of student athletes. The de-emphasis on college or on academics and a focus on quick financial gain could potentially undermine the educational mission of college sports. NBC News interviewed Al Amadi, a then high school prospect in search of an NIL deal to improve his family's housing situation. He, quote, "It could set you up for life. A lot of athletes are going to try to pursue that. This creates a powerful incentive for athletes to prioritize their NIL potential over other factors when deciding where to play, potentially leading to a culture of student athletes who are more focused on individual gain than team success." We're constantly seeing that. Finally, the implementation of NIL laws generates the potential for exploitative deals between athletes and boosters or businesses. As Thomas Baker reports in his Forbes article, new NCAA clarifications expose college athletes to risk by removing schools from the process. The NCAA's new NIL clarifications significantly restrict the role that schools serve in securing and facilitating NIL deals for their college athletes. By removing schools from the process, college athletes are now left to manage the commercial value for their NIL without any meaningful protection or oversight from either the NCAA or their schools. This lack of regulation leaves athletes vulnerable to predatory practices from businesses and agents seeking to take advantage of their amateur status and lack of experience in contract negotiations. Thomas Baker of Forbes provides an example of how new NIL regulations can affect student athletes. He states, "The new clarifications seemingly prevent the University of South Carolina, USC, from seeing through with their plan to provide free NIL representation via a partnership with Everett Sports Marketing, one of the most reputable sports marketing firms in the industry. These regulations make it difficult for schools to get involved and protect their students from potentially harmful NIL deals. This exposes student athletes to possible manipulation by boosters or agents who could offer student athletes compensation that is lower than their actual worth." That is actually true. Like, these schools cannot actually go and help and protect these kids because the schools aren't the ones giving them the money, so they're not allowed to go help. They can't help these kids. These kids are stuck on their own, hiring their own agent, hiring their own representation. I'm sure the schools can help kind of like set it up, but they can't guide these kids with this money and whatnot. It's not allowed. Like, so these kids are 17, 18, 19-year-old kids are stuck, like, who've never seen more than $10,000 like in their entire life, are being thrown millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions at them, and they don't know what to do with it. They have no idea how to, like, control that. We see it happen all the time with guys in the NFL. They get to the NFL and then they make a bunch of money and then they lose it. Like, some people just don't know how to handle a bunch of money, and now you're putting that in kids' hands at a younger age. So it's like, it's a recipe for disaster. According to the NBC News article titled "There's No Rules, It's Crazy: New Money in NCAA Recruiting Leaves Elite Athletes Ripe for Exploitation," authors Ramgopal, Kenzie Abdusaib, and Gabe Gutierrez affirm NBC News has reviewed a dozen written offers to high schoolers that experts have described as exploitative, including marketing contracts claiming exorbitant commissions of up to 40%. So that some of these agents are taking commissions up to 40%. That's insane. And booster contracts with complex fee structures and legal jargon, reducing the athlete's freedom to transfer or enter outside deals. So that's another thing. It's like you're expecting these 17, 18-year-old kids to hire an agent, and then the agent is most likely their brother or their childhood friend, like that they grew up with, or their uncle, and you're expecting them to read all this legal jargon that's put into this contract, and then these kids get screwed over. It's happening all the time now, and it happened then, and people don't want to talk about it. You may not hear about it, but it's happening. One contract was just a $100,000 loan. Like, an example right there. Like, one contract was literally just a $100,000 loan. You think that kid knew that it was a $100,000 loan when he signed it? Probably not. He probably thought, "Oh, I'm getting $100,000. Oh shit!" But nope. You got to pay that shit back, and I bet you that loan, like the interest rate on that shit, was not good. I bet you that shit was high as fuck. But student athletes who struggle financially may also endorse a product that they do not necessarily believe in for a quick check. And that definitely happens, which could ultimately hurt their reputation and risk opportunities for future brand deals. This lack of oversight also puts student athletes in a difficult position, as they may feel pressured to accept any deal offered to them in fear of losing out on potential income. That most likely definitely happens. As a result, the NIL regulations have raised concerns about the potential exploitation of college athletes, further complicating the already complicated landscape of college sports. While some critics have raised concerns about the implementation of name, image, and likeness regulations in college sports, others argue that it represents a long overdue step toward fair compensation for student athletes. Jay Bilas's article published on ESPN contends that NIL is ultimately a positive development for college sports. I agree it is too, but there needs to be guidelines in place. The article argues that student athletes have long been denied the right to profit from their own likeness and image despite the massive revenue generated by college sports programs. College athletes should receive compensation for their efforts, skills, and time spent playing college sports. Many student athletes face homelessness and food insecurity throughout their lives, which can cause them to feel the need to provide for their family. This is also a huge reason why many students may choose a school based on financial factors over traditional ones. However, Jay Bayless of ESPN does argue money can be a factor in an athlete's decision, but it is not the only factor. While there may be many factors that go into a student athlete's decision on what school to attend, NIL plays a significant role in that decision-making process now. That was one of the things that I'm arguing, is Jay Bilas. I saw him today, or a clip of him today from College Game Day the other day, and he was talking about how, like, oh, NIL doesn't really play that significant, or like these guys will still go to the schools that they were going to go to traditionally before NIL. That is not fucking true at all. Don't fucking say that. That's a complete fucking lie, because you had schools that were like smaller schools, like when Memphis with Coach Cal was there. Like, you had these schools that can like get like certain guys like Derrick Rose. Like, you had like certain things like that. Maybe like a guy is like, oh, both scholarship opportunities are equal, right? Because they're both scholarship opportunities from one big school, like a USC, like a University of Southern California, right? You got that. But maybe he's from New Jersey or something like that, and he wants to go to I don't know what schools are around the University of New Jersey. Maybe he wants to go to like a smaller school, like University of Virginia or something. Maybe he's from Virginia. He wants to go to Virginia. Virginia is not as big of a school, or definitely probably doesn't have as much NIL money as USC. But, I mean, hey, he wants to live closer, and the scholarship opportunities are the scholarships pretty much equal the same. He's getting a full ride to both places, getting food and dorm, books and dorm, all that covered for him at both places. But maybe he grew up 15 minutes outside of Virginia's campus. Now, with USC, they'll just throw $10 million at him if he's like the number one prospect. They'd be like, come here. Virginia ain't offering you that. And he'll go there. Easy, no problem. Like, I don't like how he's like, oh, that doesn't go. It's not the only factor. No, it's not. But let me tell you, since NIL, it's become a fucking massive factor. It's become pretty much the leading factor. According to a survey of over 1,000 D1, D2, and D3 athletes conducted by StudentAthleteInsights.com, more than 70% of student athletes have an interest in pursuing NIL. It is, I'm sure that number's way up more, and I'm sure like at least 25 to 29% of them lied. It is important to ensure that such compensation is not used as a recruiting tool to give unfair advantages to schools with big boosters. Within the same survey conducted by StudentAthleteInsights.com, 29% of Power 5 student athletes chose their current school, with NIL being their number one interest. So then there you go. They literally said right there that 29% of Power 5 student athletes chose their current school, with NIL being their number one interest. So that's it, like 30% of college athletes saying, hey, NIL is the number one reason why I'm coming here. The statistics shown, I put an image here to support that, assisting the argument that there is a newfound focus on earning money through NIL, which will cause student athletes to prioritize their personal brand over their education. Therefore, while supporting the idea of compensation in college athletes, it is important to regulate and monitor its implementation to ensure fairness and protect the tradition of college sports. While some may argue that the name, image, and likeness ruling is good for college sports, there are many who believe that it will have a negative impact on the overall experience for student athletes. One of the main concerns is that the NIL ruling will create a new form of professionalism. This could result in the formation of competitive markets within the world of college sports, almost like a free agency period. Yep, we have that now. That's the transfer portal, is basically free agency, where players can freely move from team to team based on whatever team is offering the most money, which only occurs in professional sports. This could ultimately create an uneven playing field where wealthier schools can attract better players by offering more lucrative sponsorship deals. Many advocates for NIL rights believe that athletes should be able to earn as much money as possible. However, there is a risk that the potential for financial gain could overshadow those other factors that are traditionally valued in college sports. With the prioritization of financial gains and personal brands over academic responsibilities, academic performance may decline. For example, if a recruit is offered a significant NIL deal by a school, there is a chance that the deal could cloud their judgment and influence their decision to join that team, even if it is not the best fit for them academically or athletically. That's for sure. These kids are definitely joining these schools just based off of money, and they probably don't fit in there academically wise or athletically wise. They probably shouldn't be there. That's probably not the best thing for them developmentally wise or for their careers or for their future, but they're going there anyway because maybe this place offered me $50,000 more or $100,000 more. Like, some of these deals are not like that much. Like, you're still going to be making a shitload of money at the other school. Like, maybe you're getting $500K one year at one place, but another place wants to offer you $1 million. $500K is still a fuckload of money, and if the place at $500K is going to get you to the NFL and going to develop you better for the NFL or the NBA or whatever it is, then the $1 million places, like the $1 million, you can't guarantee that. It's just some small school with maybe some shit coach or maybe bad development or whatever. Maybe not some small school, but you know what I mean. Like a school that is not proven or doesn't have a proven coach that can develop you, but they have some NIL money and they pay it. Like, I think the $500,000 and the better pathway to professional sports with hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts is a much better way to go. But kids will definitely take the $1 million. I mean, hell, I would do it too. Like, you don't know exactly at the time, but I'm sure there's plenty of opportunities that kids would have rather had back instead of taking the money over being coached up better. Where was I at here? Yep, right here. Now with the implementation of NIL, we're seeing many high school athletes coming into universities solely because of six-figure, maybe even seven-figure NIL deals. An example of this is presented in Journal Enterprise's article, NIL Will Ruin College Sports. The author Matt Hughes states that the number one quarterback prospect in the country, Ohio State quarterback Quinn Ewers, decided to skip his senior season to sign a $1.4 million NIL deal last month. That did happen, and then obviously a couple years later, Bryce Underwood, number one, he flipped from LSU to Michigan with a bunch of money. So we are definitely seeing how they are committing to universities solely because of these deals. Now, I'm sure Bryce Underwood loves Michigan. Like, I'm not doubting that at all. Like, I love Michigan. Who wouldn't love Michigan? I'm just saying that the money was definitely a massive factor, and you cannot argue otherwise. And this is coming from a Michigan fan. That money definitely played a big role in getting him here. However, if a 17-year-old student athlete were offered, that's another thing you got to remember. These kids aren't just like, oh, they're 21 and 22. No, like these kids are being offered it straight out of high school, like sometimes before that, because these kids are being recruited their junior year of high school most of the time, sometimes even their sophomore year of high school. So these kids are getting offered these deals and money to play early. However, and there's even talks now about paying high school athletes. What the fuck are we doing? Yeah, 3 years removed from this paper, and we're talking about, not in this paper, we were talking about then paying college athletes, and now 3 years later, we're talking about paying high school athletes. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Absolutely insane. But however, if a 17-year-old student were offered over $1 million to play a sport they love, they may not choose the school of their dreams or the one that is right for them. We see that all the time, definitely without a doubt. In conclusion, the implementation of name, image, and likeness regulations in college sports is disrupting the traditional model of college athletics, as it raises concerns about exploitative deals, impacts on the transfer portal, potential unfair advantages for schools with large booster support, and a shift towards prioritizing NIL potential over academic or athletic merit. NIL regulations in college sports have sparked concerns about exploitative deals and a lack of oversight, leaving athletes vulnerable. They have also raised worries about a concentration of top talent at prestigious universities, creating an uneven playing field that could harm smaller or less funded programs. In addition, there are concerns about personal brand building taking priority over academic and athletic success, potentially leading to a culture of individual game over team success. See that all the time. Although NIL deals offer opportunities and benefits, they should not be allowed to persuade student athletes on which school might be the best fit for them. Yes, I agree. Like, I am all for NIL, but it shouldn't be the sole reason why kids are choosing where to go to school. Although NIL deals offer opportunities and benefits, I already said that. However, it is important to note that NIL does not have to be a negative influence on the college sports. The NCAA can create clear guidelines and regulations that ensure that the implementation of NIL does not negatively impact the integrity of the industry. This is what I want, and this is what I've been saying. This is what everyone's been saying. For example, regulations that prohibit recruitment through sponsorship deals can help to maintain a level playing field for all schools. While the opposition may be championing the right for student athletes to get paid, it is important to recognize that these NIL deals must be done through proper regulation and oversight. With the right guidelines in place, NIL has the potential to be a positive development for student athletes in college sports as a whole. So that was written 3 years ago. I wrote that 3 years ago for a college paper, just examining something, or a critical thinking paper or whatever it was. But those were my points on NIL, and as you can see, a lot of the stuff has happened, and a lot of the problems that I wrote would occur back then have been happening today. So let me know what your guys' thoughts on it down in the comments. Excited for a great game tonight. College basketball. Michigan's obviously benefited from NIL, as of a lot of schools, but some schools have definitely been hurt by NIL. So make sure you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments, and make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you guys like more of this stuff. I'll be posting stuff. I try to post a video at least once a week for right now. If you guys follow me or give me, some more subscribers or whatever, maybe I could do this as a job and I can get you guys a video a day. I would fucking love to do that. So, Yeah, I will see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and have a good one.